Hi, and welcome to a series of small videos designed to help prospective clients get to know the parachute coaches. And I'm here today with Trevor Timbeck. Trevor, how long have you been a parachute associate now?
For 4 years.
4 years. And
And
how's
how I
your
know that,
experience?
well,
How's
how
your
I know that
experience?
is I have a client who's been with me almost since the beginning, and we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary. So
Oh
it's
my
been an
gosh.
amazing experience.
Oh, I'm so happy about that. Don't you love it when you don't really know how long it's been that you've been working with a client and then they tell you? And it's like,
Yes.
oh, really? I know. I had one of those too. I had to get a letter of recommendation from a client for something, and he started it with, "In the 7 years I've worked with Karen." I thought, oh, okay. I had no idea. So we've established the fact that we at Parachute like long relationships with clients, and hopefully that we'd like to have a little fun along the way too. So I would love to have you share with anyone who happens to come across this video a little bit about who you are as a coach and what's unique about you. And I mean, I've always referred to you as a unicorn, which anyone who reads your bio can figure out the reason behind that. But let's just dig in a little bit to what it is about your approach and about you that you think makes you unique, or that clients tell you makes you unique.
Yeah. So I think the obvious ones are my background in terms of coming from a computer science technology background, having had my own startup, done everything on the tech side, and then having transitioned over into business and then running, head of sales and then becoming chief talent officer. And when people find out that I went into HR, they always ask, like, were you forced into HR? It's like, no, that was my desire. So a bit of a unique career path, but in the coaching industry, having the deep technical background seems to have helped me be unique, as you said. And so that's sort of like the surface level. And then what I would say really has me be unique is my being as a coach, and the fact that all my coaching is really focused on being of leadership. And that's just coming from my own journey. I had become a leader, read every book I knew, had done an MBA in leadership, knew everything about leadership, but it didn't leave me being a leader. And so I discovered there's this gap between knowing things and being them. And coaching really helped shift my leadership. And then that's the work that I love to do with my leaders, is really focus in on who they're being as a leader. And a big part of that for me is being a person of integrity, because leadership for me is a conversation, and it's often the conversations we're avoiding where we get stuck, but that leaders have this ability to create with their speaking and with their words. And you can forget about being a powerful leader if you're not a person of integrity, someone who honors their word and really shows up that way in the world, versus most people. The common saying is talk is cheap. And I always say that's not true. You cheapen talk. Talk is very valuable in how we actually create our world. And when you're a person of integrity and a leader with integrity, you get this ability to create with your speaking, including your actions, because those speak louder than words. But to me, that's sort of the foundation of the work that I do with my clients around being and integrity.
In the coaching space, we often hear that idea of coaching is about the being, and I have rarely heard it explained so well. So for me, what you just did was really describe what's underneath that idea of the difference between the being and the thinking of it, because I think anyone who comes here is probably really, really good at thinking and has probably read their way into all kinds of really smart things. But that thinking, by definition, it stops short of going deep enough to really be embedded and to show up as being. So thanks for that. That was clearer than I've ever heard it. So that was pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
I quoted you the other day, actually, when I was talking with someone about the fact that various of the parachute coaches have different lenses through which they tend to see things, see leadership, process the coaching work. And yours, as you just mentioned, is integrity. And you said something to me the other day about integrity, or an organization being a collection of promises. Have I
Yeah,
got that right?
a network of
A
promises.
network of promises. Yeah. Can you say more about that? Because I love that. And the person that I shared that with had a little light bulb go on when they heard that.
Yeah, it's in my own development and work, I came across this, work around integrity, and a view that And as I started to check it out for myself, I saw that like any family, any organization, but specifically the world I work in, companies, that really all those things, all they are is a network of promises, promises to shareholders, promises to suppliers and stakeholders, promises to employees, promises to customers. And when I started to see it through that lens, I started to see that, if you have a network of promises without integrity, things just fall apart. If we're not honoring our word, which means keeping it when we can, and when we can't keep it, letting people know and cleaning up any mess we make, it just became really simple actually for me of like, that's where a lot of the issues come up, is just we're not noticing that there are all these promises. And then if we are, we're not honoring them. And when companies and leaders and teams start honoring their word to each other and to everyone else, things just start working. It's just almost too simple for myself and other people at first of like, yes, it's just a matter of integrity. I say just, it's a big area and all the rest, but it's something that really brings actionable access to the source of performance and the source of trust.
And the keeping of the promises, in my experience at least, and let me know if you share this, that's actually easier than the letting people know when the promises is going to be broken. And it's the courage that it takes to let people know rather than hope it doesn't get noticed or sweep it under the rug or something.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's one of the, what I call veils of invisibility. Why it doesn't show up for us as integrity is because, as you said, people know about keeping, but it's not always possible to keep your word unless you're playing a really small game in life. And so the key to integrity is actually honoring your word, which means when you can't keep it, let people know. But what makes this new model of integrity so powerful is that it's distinct from morality and ethics. And what you say is why people don't want to let people know is because they make that bad or wrong. Not keeping my word is bad or wrong. Well, that's morality and ethics. Over integrity, not keeping your word is simply not keeping your word. And what works then when you can't keep your word, and sometimes it actually works better than keeping your word, which is strange, is letting people know and cleaning up the mess, which we've all had. If we've had a service issue with someone where they messed up, they didn't keep their word, but they honored it and they went above and beyond and restoring and repairing. That's the story we tell people. We don't tell that when Amazon keeps their word, but the one time for me when Amazon didn't keep their word, but then honored it and went above and beyond, that's the story I share with people.
You are so right. I love that. That's such a great example. So you mentioned earlier that you were reading all the books. What do you do nowadays to continue your own growth? If it's not reading all the books, and maybe it still is reading all the books.
It's not reading all the books anymore. It's still reading. That's a big part for me. The foundation for me really is my own integrity work. So I do what I originally called a daily integrity review every morning. And now I actually call it a radical act of self-love. And that's how I see it. It's part of my morning with meditation and a few other things, but it's reviewing my own integrity and noticing where it's gone out, and then I can restore it. And so to me, that's brought through tons of breakthroughs and workability in my life. So that's probably like what I would call the cornerstone foundation. And then on top of that, another big piece of it is the work that I do with my own coach, right? Which is, I guess, not surprising for me as a coach that I love having my own coach. And then a lot of things come out of that. And then from there, as you said, there's books, there's videos, courses, all sorts of things that, I love to. For me, I'm a lifelong learner. And so for this is a bit of a shift. I always tell people the first 40 years, I got my master's in righteousness, my master's in how to be right. And I've committed the next 40 years. And after the next 40, hopefully I have some more to commit to something else. But the next 40 years, I've committed to getting my master's in workability. And so that's why the work around integrity and some of these, and for me, it's the being of it, because integrity is not a knowing phenomenon, it's a being phenomenon. So I be it every morning and then get to see where I wasn't being in integrity and restore. And that has helped me shift all of the other things that I would have normally done just from a knowing lens to actually, being.
Love it. Anything else you'd like us to know?
I thought about that question. I think the only thing that came up for me is that I have an amazing wife and 2 amazing kids and love all things water related, including surfing, wake surfing, swimming, those sorts of things. So I do spend a fair bit of time, also known as the whole summer, up at my cottage so that I can be close to my family and water and all those things that I love.
And that's the most important stuff anyways, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.